What's up, y'all? And it's Fan Duelers and any season-long people that's just stopping by the channel. Ready to preview Week 8. And before we preview Week 8 on the Fan Duel slate, we'll at least talk about some football news because over the past, 4 or 5 days, there's been quite a bit of news here. So obviously with the trade deadline coming up next week, teams are already making moves, whether it's just trades in general or due to some type of injury. So we'll start off with McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey, he played pretty decent. I think he was pretty productive in the 8 to 12 snaps that he got. I think through statistics, he ended up playing about 33 to 35% of the snaps, available offensive snaps, and it looks like he's gonna take some time to fit in. I faded him last week because it didn't look like he was gonna do much. But if there's one thing I think that it will do is take a little bit away from Debo from the high rushing end, because remember, Debo's pretty much Mr. Do-It-All. He was rushing and catching passes. Now it seems like Ayuk is developing a connection with Garoppolo, and the one thing McCaffrey's addition I think it's going to drop Debo. I think Christian Ayuk continues to ascend and maybe even level off to where he is now that there's an extra weapon coming out of the backfield. But if there's for fantasy implications, it's good for Garoppolo, it's good for Ayuk. McCaffrey's behind a better offensive line. And of course, with the packages that they give Debo, they'll come up with some creative packages for McCaffrey himself. Along with that, though, I think it takes away from the ceiling that Debo could probably hit every week. Because with McCaffrey in the backfield, with a little bit of added depth, and with injured running backs coming later, you'll probably get two, three, maybe 4 plays from Debo, maybe a reverse here and there, but he won't get that hybrid look as he used to. Going along with that, I love what the Jets did after losing Breece Hall. Look, this goes back to the beginning of when I started Grade A Fantasy, and I was telling you guys about Travis Etienne. That just lets you know how they look forward to giving Travis Etienne the full load now. There will be when you trade away somebody like James Robinson, who was the starter, transition into the backup. You're looking at Travis Etienne as being the workhorse. James Robinson is good enough to at least have a 60-40 split, 65-35 split. When you give up James Robinson is now a man. Travis Etienne is now somebody that's looking at workhorse level, 75, 80% of the snaps. He can catch, he can run, he's strong. Like I said, I was big on Etienne from the preseason, if you guys remember. So now Etienne is gonna ascend in the charts or whatever, probably ascend in some popularity. He's up against a tough run defense against the Broncos have been running on quite a bit lately. Breece Hall had that one big run. Other than that, Michael Carter did pretty decent, and then Josh Jacobs had his game. But other than that, the Broncos defense is legit. So, but he's one of those guys that's not even on the slate, so you don't really have to worry about that. Because Broncos and Jaguars are the early single game, 9 a.m. in London. And then the last bit of news after that, I was kind of confused. I didn't know whether, the term benching, I didn't know Matt Ryan was playing that horrible. I think he played pretty well behind that horrible offensive line, because people thought Joe Burrow was the guy that was getting sacked the most, and it was really Matt Ryan. And him getting hit and hit and hit. I don't know if I would like to use the term benching for Matt Ryan, but apparently that's the term that they're using. So Sam Ehlinger is going to be the quarterback now. I'm hearing a mixed call of it's a benching because of a shoulder injury, benching because of performance. I'm just going to go with my opinion. I don't think it's a benching. I just think Matt Ryan's old, he's getting beaten up, and Sam Ehlinger is going to play for a while. But according to the report, Sam Ehlinger is supposed to be the quarterback for the rest of the way. We're just about at the halfway point of the season, so that's pretty much 2 months and a week of the season left. So sounds more like a benching to me, but Matt Ryan is dinged up with, I think apparently he has some type of shoulder injury. So we got to see what the kid could do. It's going to be interesting. Obviously, with a new quarterback, you got to take some chances on Washington Commanders defense. I think Washington, I'll have to review the slate, but in my notes, if I remember properly, Washington defense is definitely in the 3,000s, I think. One of the defenses that I did want to talk about was Seattle at 3,500. I had my eye on them, but we'll get to that later. But yeah, Seattle is going to be the quarterback, so you got to give Washington a try in case of. I mean, yeah, like I said, Washington's not the best defense, but when you got some fresh kid coming in or whatever, and he makes a couple of mistakes, interception and sacks are fantasy points, regardless if you like the defense or not. So, with that bit of quick news, hey, there is still plenty of time. There's pretty much 5 days, 6 days. I mean, it's 10 o'clock now. 10 o'clock on a Tuesday night. Anything can happen between now and the deadline or whatever. I mean, it's still going to be. I mean, James Robinson move is going to be interesting to see if. It's going to be interesting to see if people like Kareem Hunt move. Like I said, there were rumors about Claypool when I used to speak about this a couple of weeks ago. Like I said, the McCaffrey news came true. Other than that, there wasn't really much rumors of anything else. I don't know. I mean, Kareem Hunt did demand a trade in the preseason, but he said no. But he was declined, so we don't know anything about that. But other than that, there really hasn't been much trade rumors at all after the McCaffrey thing, which I kind of saw coming. I really don't see much happening. I mean, anything can happen, but we'll see. And other than that, we're just gonna jump right in. Might as well just jump right into the slate for week 8. So let's first, obviously, let's get the basics off. So with the Thursday night game, no Browns. With the Thursday night game, so for the slate, because of Thursday, no Browns, no Bengals, Battle of Ohio. So, I got that mixed up. Sorry, y'all. Week 8, I got that wrong. That's not the Thursday game. They're not. Neither one of them are on the slate, but that's not the Thursday game. The Thursday game is Baltimore and Tampa. So no Lamar, no Duvernay, none of the running backs from the Baltimore backfield. For Tampa, no Brady, no Mike Williams, no Mike Evans, no Leonard Fournette, no picking the Tampa Bay defense. They're off the slate. Also off the slate, as I just mentioned, Denver and Jacksonville off the slate, and I said 9 o'clock Eastern. It's 9:30 Eastern from London. Monday night, I think I'm most excited for that game. You got Cincinnati at Cleveland, so that means no Burrow with double stacks of Higgins, Boyd, or Boyd Chase, or whatever the case is, and no Mixon. And then on Cleveland's end, no Njoku, no Nick Chubb, no Cleveland defense, and no Amari Cooper. The two teams that are on bye this week are both from the AFC West. We both have the Chiefs and the Chargers. So that means no Justin Herbert, no Patrick Mahomes, no Clyde Edwards-Helaire, no Travis Kelce, no Gerald Everett, no Keenan Allen, no Austin Eckler, no Mike Williams, no McCall Hardman, no Juju Smith-Schuster. So some big players that you'll like to fit in at decent prices will not be around. And of course, the Sunday night game, another big dog is out. It's Green Bay versus Buffalo. So no Aaron Rodgers, no Adam Lazard, no Aaron Jones, no A.J. Dillon. And then, of course, on the Buffalo side, once again, no Josh Allen, no Steph Diggs, no Gabe Davis, no Buffalo defense, no Devin Singletary. None of those guys. So just keep that in mind. No Bills, no Packers, no Bengals, no Browns, no Denver, no Jacksonville. And because of the Thursday game, no Baltimore, no Tampa Bay. Done. So now let's review this slate bit by bit. And we'll start off obviously at quarterback. Pittsburgh going into Philly, they have to go against Jalen Hurts, who's 9,200. Pittsburgh can play them tough. Tomlin's going to coach them up, but right now that Philly offense and their RPO style offense is pretty much unstoppable. The offense literally runs through Jalen Hurts like Baltimore runs through Lamar Jackson. I don't really see no slowing down here, especially at home. Pittsburgh is not the dominant defense that you kind of remember. They're more of a bend, don't break defense and hopefully make a big play. I still see Jalen Hurts in a good matchup here at home. Kyler Murray is now starting to become interesting because within the last 2-3 weeks, Kyler Murray has upped the usage with his legs. That's the main thing with Kyler Murray he has to do. He doesn't have to be Jalen Hurts. He doesn't have to be Lamar Jackson. But he needs his running to aid with his passing. Because, yes, he's a great pocket passer. I mean, could be inaccurate sometimes. But he is adding with his feet. In the last 3, even 4 weeks, 12 rush attempts, 4 rush attempts for 42 yards, 10 rush attempts for 100, and 7 for 30. And yes, has a touchdown in the last week. He has 2 rushing touchdowns on the year. If he keeps doing that, even with inadequate passing days, and no, he's not booming. He only has 1 300-yard passing game. But if he can still do that and throw a touchdown or 2 and add with his legs, then yeah, the guy is really looking at a great matchup as he is playing this week. Minnesota's a social defense. Minnesota can play up to the field being at home. I definitely trust a team like Minnesota more at home than on the road, especially with the defense. So, and speaking of Minnesota, the guy that's under him, Kyler Murray's at 8,200, Kirk Cousins at 7,800, against a very porous Arizona defense. So you gotta look for another day of him and Justin Jefferson again torching that defense. That should be a fun game. I won't be surprised if that game shoots out, if that's the game that shoots out early, because both defense, even though Minnesota can make some big plays at home, both teams are not known for their defense. Also, look out for Dalvin Cook, but especially the Arizona secondary with the wide receiver core that Minnesota has. Look for this game to pretty much shoot out. I haven't really looked at Sportsbook at all this week. I don't know what this over/under is set as of yet. But as of right now, Arizona, Minnesota is definitely one of my favorite games. My second favorite game is coming up because his Tua is at Detroit. Detroit, they can play a little emotional ball, but being at home, I love their coach. Coach is great for that team. But Tua has the potential to have Waddle and Tyreek Hill just torch that secondary. He's at 7,700. That's one of the great things about not having some of those studs on the schedule, because after 92 drops to 82, and then after 82, every other quarterback is in the 7K range and lower. I mean, I'm talking about the fourth quarterback, and 2 is at 77. Daniel Jones, that's another interesting game. Now, I've been saying this, and if you remember last week, I do get a couple predictions right. I told y'all last week my favorite value last week was Seattle, and they were the worst ranked defense at 3,000, and look what they did. So they definitely paid off and went above a 3,000 value defense. So Seattle, once again, is not the best defense, but when it comes to fantasy, they create big plays and they do the job, okay? So I wouldn't mind picking Seattle again, and I already mentioned them in the video. 3,500, Daniel Jones being turnover prone. Now they're protecting Daniel Jones because they're running the ball more and passing more shorter. So, will Seattle have the opportunity to at least sack and maybe force a fumble? But Daniel Jones has not been turning over the ball like that, especially with the interceptions. Daniel Jones this year, with the way the offense is running, Daniel Jones literally only has 2 interceptions, 2 fumbles. Normally by this year, Daniel Jones would be more like a 3-4 interception with 5 or 6 fumbles, because he does have ball protection issues. But the way they're running the offense, keeping it short, control, and a ton of Saquon Barkley, that's less chances. But Seattle, and once again, Seattle at home, Seattle is interesting going against Daniel Jones. But he's still an interesting play because what he doesn't do throwing the ball, because I don't even think he has a game over 250 yards, Daniel Jones will make up for it in his legs. Daniel Jones does not have a game this year. I said 250. Daniel Jones doesn't have a game over 220 passing. But he can make it up for his leg, whether if he gets into the end zone or not. So for 7,500, Daniel Jones could give you, 17 to 22 points, and hopefully a screen pass, and you link it up with Saquon or whatever. Hey, good value for 75. Another quarterback that I like this week. I got to go down just a little bit. We're going to go to Derek Carr at New Orleans. Look, I don't know what's going on. The past 2 years, New Orleans has been a solid defense. And even though New Orleans is at home, that defense has been horrible. They've been toasted. So, yes, Derek Carr, not the most prolific into fantasy points and everything like that. And, yes, they're giving the ball to Josh Jacobs, just like how the Giants are giving it to Saquon. But Derek Carr should be able to toast New Orleans secondary. Yes, there's issues with Marshawn Lattimore, but I even think with Marshawn Lattimore, I think I think Derek Carr is a very solid play. He may not for cash, but he'll be a good GPP play. Now, I think the key with Derek Carr also for this game, because of how bad that secondary is, we already know what Josh Jacobs is going to do. If he could get his weapon Darren Waller back against this secondary, I actually put Derek Carr definitely for this week, definitely above Daniel Jones, and maybe even slightly at the range of having an output of Tua. But he needs Waller there. Hollins has done his job, but the athletic freak that Waller could be over the middle will definitely help. Dak Prescott at home against Chicago. Chicago had a very impressive win on the road in New England, but Dak at home again. I mean, it just suits well for Dak. Coming back home, two solid running backs, strong offensive line, well protected. The finger feels great. Back-to-back games at home, doesn't have to hit the road yet. It just seems like a nice spot. And once again, Chicago does play up. Chicago does play up to his competition, but I think Dak could be decently owned. Las Vegas is a defense that you don't really think about picking. But hey, Jameis Winston is back. He could be turnover prone, but once again, Jameis will air the ball out. Las Vegas secondary is also a problem, so that goes both ways with both Derek Carr and Jameis Winston. So because of how bad two secondaries are in the same game, Jameis Winston at 7,100. That game is another one that because there are a lot of interesting games, even though a lot of top dogs are out. And then if we slide down just a little bit, I mean he's been playing well, so you got to at least mention him. You got to mention him. I like Geno Smith. Like I said, Giants are kind of a bend don't break and make a big play at the end to kind of hold the lead. So Geno Smith for 7K even is where I think I will stop mentioning quarterbacks or people who I like. And let's move on to running back. Running backs for this slate. Okay, and we're starting to look like traditional years, like 2-3 years ago. Look who's up top. Top two, Derrick Henry, 10 G's even, 10 flat. Saquon, 9.5 at Seattle. Derrick Henry and Saquon, hey, if you could try and fit them both in, because they're pretty much going against two of the worst 5 rush defenses in the league. So I mean, it's pretty hefty to try and put them both in. Obviously, if you get them both in, you're definitely punting at, well, not punting, but you're definitely not getting a QB in the high 7s or in the 8s or the 9s or whatever the case is. And like I said, QB is not even that expensive this week. So, you might be looking for budget wide receivers and budget tight end to try and fit those two in. After that, one of the guys that's pretty much in the running for, I think, fantasy MVP, the way he's been playing the last 3 games, Josh Jacobs, 9,000. Once again, Christian McCaffrey, look for him to get a bigger load this week. I would say look for 30% of snaps. He has now a week to learn the playbook, so I think 30 might turn into 50. I don't think he gets 100% load just like that. I think it gets into 50. He gets worked in. But is he worth 85 this week? I faded him last week because he wasn't going to get the whole load. He's still kind of a fade. I mean, he's in game shape. It's just a case of learning the playbook. But I think I might have some pieces of him in tournaments. But last week I faded him. He wasn't going to get the work that he was for his price. Kenneth Walker, I mean, he's now a household fantasy name, 8,400. Great game against the Chargers last week. Kenneth Walker against it doesn't look like it, but stat-wise, the Giants are bad. They're giving up damn near half a first down on per carry. So we're looking at Jonathan Taylor next at 8,300. Hopefully he's looking a bit healthier. The reason why Jonathan Taylor has to be pointed out, when you're starting a new QB like that, Jonathan Taylor has to get a bigger load back. Now, he seemed decent last week, 10 to 58, 7 receptions, 27 yards. Look for that to automatically, look for the carries to double, and look for the receptions to go up by maybe 3 or 4. He will be a workhorse. I think personally, I still like Alec Pierce because he's going to be short in the slot, but I'm thinking of fading Michael Pittman. I mean, unless they let this kid sling it, they're going to need Jonathan Taylor just to protect the kid. And Jonathan Taylor's completely healthy. It's not like Jonathan Taylor's going to have limitations. I think last week things just seemed fun, and now they're ready to move on, and they're going to use Jonathan Taylor to protect the new kid. Just think of that game. That's just game script and game logic on its own. New quarterback, we're thrusting you in, and you're there for the rest of the year, pretty much. So Jonathan Taylor, look for Jonathan Taylor to get Derrick Henry, Saquon, or Jonathan Taylor earlier in the year type workload. He's guaranteed. I think he's definitely getting 30 touches this week. So Jonathan Taylor definitely a good look at 83. You got Dalvin Cook. You're still waiting for that big game for Dalvin. Like I said, Arizona's pretty decent on the run, but we're still waiting for that big game for Dalvin. I mean, he's an interesting look at 82. I think he'll be interesting because he'll be low owned. People are still waiting for that Dalvin big game, whatever, and maybe some people are starting to fade away from that. So if you get Dalvin, maybe you get him on the right day. We'll slide down just a bit to Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara, once again, playing one of the worst defenses at 78, not even at 8,000, so I'll definitely be looking at him. Man, I don't know what's going on with DeAndre Swift. I thought he'll be fully better. And he's still dinged up going against a pretty decent Miami defense. Detroit at home. If he doesn't play, then DeAndre Swift, like I said, once again, Fan Duel, smart booking here. Both him and Williams are at 7,500. Miles Sanders is an interesting play. Like I said, Pittsburgh is susceptible to the run, and Miles Sanders has been getting the major workload, even though he gets vultured for 7,400 against Pittsburgh. Definitely a good look. Damian Pierce is in a tough matchup, but he gets so much work. You have to look at him at 73 home against Tennessee. If we scroll down a little bit, next guy that I want to talk to about. Look here, Arizona is definitely, like I said, Minnesota is not the strongest defense. So if James Conner can't come back, I like James Conner at 7 even. If not, Benjamin at 7. Raheem Mostert is on the dot. First off, I love this guy. He's a very talented back, one of the fastest guys. Long time ago, I think if he never really got injured, I think he'll still be in a 49er uniform. With that knee injury slowed him down. I think he's fully recovered from that and going against the worst rush defense, and he is the man in Miami. I think Raheem Mostert is definitely somebody. He's not total value, but at 6,800, Raheem Mostert is definitely somebody you should look at. If you're not looking to pay double up on Henry and Saquon, if you get one of those, I think I'm looking all the way down here at Raheem Mostert, even past Alvin Kamara. After that, we're going to keep going down just a bit. And the next person that I'll definitely like to see if we got to see what's going on. Anthony Pollard against Chicago. He's a smash play, 6,300. Once again, if Zeke can't play, I skipped Zeke because I had to go to Tony Pollard first. Right now, it's up in the air with that knee if Zeke plays against Chicago. Zeke is 71. You can go down to Pollard if he doesn't play at 63. And then here's the next thing that we're going to have to pay attention to, the Carolina backfield. Deontay Foreman had that great game last week. Atlanta is a sturdy run defense, and Carolina is on the road. But, like I said, fantasy is all about opportunity. If Chuba Hubbard is hurt with that ankle, Deontay Foreman will get the load at 64. Chuba Hubbard's at 62. I think there's nobody else down here to even look at. No, not at all. No, not at all. Something will have to happen to one of these starters if something like an injury during practice and like late in the week for something to happen. Let's skip on to wide receiver. Wide receiver, $9,300 Cup, $9,000 Justin Jefferson. Need I say more? Do I have to really go over anything? Right now, my favorite play, even though Cooper Kupp gets so much value, my favorite play this week is Justin Jefferson. It's strictly hands down Justin Jefferson. He's my 1A, and because of his matchup, my 1B and 1C is Tyreek Hill at 87, and then Jalen Waddle at 7,800. Those are my favorite plays at wide receiver. After that, you don't go too far down with Devontae Adams going against that horrible New Orleans defense. Like I said, I don't know what happened. Like the first couple of weeks, they looked decent, and then the last 2 or 3 weeks, they've looked horrible. Devontae Adams gets to attack that at 8,500. A.J. Brown against Pittsburgh. It will be interesting to see that matchup. A.J. Brown probably might link up with Minka Fitzpatrick. We'll see if that makes Jalen Hurts go to Devonta Smith. But A.J. Brown's at 82. DeAndre Hopkins, he's a man on a mission. Had a great first game back. Dropped over 15 FanDuel points. So now he's getting ready. He's getting ready to try and get his first touchdown against the Minnesota defense. I think he might get that touchdown against the Minnesota defense. And like I said, I just already talked about Jalen Waddle at 7,800. We're looking at Tyler Lockett at 76 against the Giants. CeeDee Lamb, 75 against Chicago. Tyler Lockett is going to be interesting at 76 if Metcalf can't play. Right now, that injury is noted as not serious. Still, we don't know what they'll do or what's the plan. I don't think he plays. Maybe they play cautiously unless he shows strong performances in practice. Because obviously you were worried about that knee and something didn't go right if he got carted off the field. Maybe they let him relax for a week. If Metcalf is out, we'll swing down a little bit and let you know who to worry about. Obviously, there's two guys. We got Michael Thomas, who's still questionable with a foot. It would be good if he could go against a suspect Las Vegas defense at 7,000. Like I said, I'm fading Michael Pittman. Amon-Ra St. Brown with the concussion. He's in concussion protocol. Deebo Samuel is hurt. He has a hamstring, and there's also rumors about sore back. So we don't know if he's playing. Like I said, I mentioned Devontae Smith because of the Minka Fitzpatrick matchup. Devontae Smith is all the way down at 69 if you want to stack with Jalen Hurts. Chris Olave, he looks like a great player, especially Michael Thomas is not there at 6,900. I said it in the last preview last week. Terry McLaurin was one of my favorite players because he has a connection with Taylor Heineke. McLaurin, I think, should be over 7,000. He's not. He has 68 against Indy. I would definitely be trusting him with some GPPs. Brandon Ayuk, like I said, he's ascending against. He'll be going against the Rams. As long as he's lined up, Brandon Ayuk will not draw the Jalen Ramsey matchup. So that bodes well for him. If we keep scrolling down, if Amon-Ra St. Brown can't get out of the concussion protocol, Josh Reynolds, they throw the ball a lot, especially if they fall down behind for some Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill bombs. So Josh Reynolds, 6,500. After that, you got to go back to, you might want to go for GBP plays and go back to DJ Moore. When it comes to wide receivers, they really got nobody else. I mean, they do have people, but DJ Moore is the more sure-handed guy. Going against one of the worst pass offenses in Atlanta, he's at 62. Adam Thielen, once again, is a solid player at 62. You know, I always love this guy. Brandon Cooks is going against a very suspect. The ball goes three ways. It either leaves, it either goes from the quarterback into Dameon Pierce, or it goes from the quarterback into Brandon Cooks' hands. Pretty much against Tennessee suspect secondary, 6,100 Brandon Cooks is definitely going to be a good tournament player. I think he's going to be very low, even with a more condensed slate and schedule. If we keep going down a little bit, like I said, I still like Alec Pierce. Alec Pierce can run long routes, short routes. I think the new QB will be looking for him short. So Alec Pierce once again at 58. He's still not over 6,000. Interesting, Michael Gallup at 58. If you want to keep going down just a bit, Johan Dotson still a little bit questionable with his injury. Darius Slayton finally showed up with a deep pass. Can Seattle get attacked deep? Yeah, but it's the question of, do they take those chances? Yeah, they took that chance with Darius Slayton, but that was just one pass. Man, I don't know what happened. It's just the way that they're playing now. My man Drake London, he's been shut out and just been out of the offense so long, him and Pitts, that Drake London, to me, is a very interesting 5,600. But we'll see how they use him. Other than that, well, let's get to those Seattle wide receivers. One of them, Marquise Goodwin, stepped right in for, it pretty much went to two other guys. So Marquise Goodwin, he's at 56. And then if we keep scrolling down, the other Seattle wide receiver, where are you? Where the hell are you? I should have just did the regular search instead of scrolling down. Yeah, D. Eskridge. He'll be getting some snaps if he doesn't play. He's at 5,000. After that, as I scroll down, I mean, yeah, nothing. I mean, hey, you want to talk about GPP play, and Robbie Anderson can get deep on that turf in Minnesota or whatever, then hey, 5,300 is nothing wrong with a good look. Once again, I love Minnesota's wide receiver core, so KJ Osborne is another GBP play against Arizona at 5,300. And I think that is it. If Pittsburgh is down against Philly, you gotta love this man for a GBP play as well. 5,500 George Pickens is seeing tons of targets from Kenny Pickett. I think it's really started in the last 5 weeks. So since week 3, he's seen 7, 8, 8, 6, and 6 targets, and he damn near catches all of them. So solid GBP play. All you need for him is to get into the end zone. In 3 or 4 weeks, besides the 4.3 against Tampa Bay, he has 13.2, 11.3, and 15.1. You get that many targets, he gets 1 touchdown. It's the GBP play with the rest of your lineup. George Pickens and Pickett has a good repertoire with each other. He is getting to it. Let's get the tight end. And once again, like I said, some of the big dogs are gone, whether if they're playing on an island game or on bye. So the top guy, once again, this is going to be another kind of a pay down option for these guys. We got George Kittle at 6,900. After that, Taysom Hill, no. You're going to have to keep battling with him. TJ Hawkinson. You're going to have TJ Hawkinson at 6,500. Most likely in a good matchup. Team that doesn't guard the tight end well. Once again, consistent Zach Ertz, you're just hoping for him to get a touchdown at 6,000 against Minnesota. And then, like I said, if you're not going to do that, there's a couple people at 6,000 like Tyler Higbee against San Francisco. But after that, there's some solid options. Like my favorite pay down option, I'm looking at 57 is Pat Freiermuth. Kenny Pickett looks for him as well, whatever. And not even as a safety blanket. He gets down the field on some 10, 12, 15-yard catches. So Pat Freiermuth at Philly, especially if they're down, they're going to be throwing that ball 5,700. Once again, Dan Wall is all the way down to 55. If he gets cleared, I think he's a smash play for real. But other than that, and if I'm going to go pay down even lower, my next 2 pay down options, you got to go Juwan Johnson against Las Vegas. I've watched a decent amount of Las Vegas game. They definitely have an issue guarding the tight end. So when you look at Juwan Johnson, now most of this is under Andy Dalton, but he has a little bit of repertoire with Jameis Winston, who's going to start back again this week. But from week 1, 5 targets, 7 targets. He has a 1 target and a 2 target game in there, but he also has 4 targets, 6 and 5. 2 touchdowns on the year. So Juwan Johnson, he gets some routes, but he's definitely looked over in the end zone. So I like Juwan Johnson. And after knocking off a weaker rusher like Dak, I think you can look for Dak and Justin Schultz to knock off a little bit more rust and maybe even connect for the end zone. He got 5 targets from Dak last week, just under 50 yards. He started off well before he got hurt. 9 targets, 7 for 62. He got 4 targets. He got 4 targets and 2 for 18 in Cincinnati. And then after that, that's when he got a little dinged up and hurt, and then things happen. So he wasn't truly healthy. Now he's healthy now, so I think him and Dak definitely knock off the rust and link for a TD. Those are my main cheap options. If I scroll down a little bit, I don't think I really like anybody else. I mean, could you like Irv Smith? Yeah. 5,000 even. Once again, if he doesn't play, if he burns you, he burns you. But yeah, I'll mention him, but I'm not even going to tell you his price because it doesn't really matter. I'm not picking Foster Moreau. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That is pretty much it for the tight ends. I don't really see anybody else that's really interesting. Let's close off this episode of the Week 8 review with the defenses. Dallas is worth it because they create the sacks and interceptions. I got the Dallas more than Seattle last week. That helped me pay it off. I had a decent, Fan Duel. I put a little bit over 200 in fantasy play, and I got back more than half. So, did in progress, but I didn't lose all my money. In a tough game with New England and the Jets, that's going to be a tough game. The question is, can New England turn the Jets over? Philadelphia, can they get some interceptions and can they sack and force fumble from Pickett? Jets defense at 4,500. Oh yeah, Philly's at 46, New England 47. Dallas is the top pay option at 5K. Sorry, I didn't mention that. San Francisco and the Rams. San Francisco is 45. Those games are always tough, always big plays, always an interception and a fumble that turns it around. After that, you could possibly go to Las Vegas for 41. Why? Jameis Winston could turn over the ball. Los Angeles and San Francisco, the Rams are the lower defense. They're at 4,000. And then from here on out, from the pay down options, this is what I like from 4,000 and under for this week. Miami at Detroit for 4,000 even. Giants against Seattle. They're on the road for 37. But my favorite pay down option is definitely Seattle at 3,500. They've just been playing solid. I mentioned it a couple times, and you may not like the defense. They've made some big plays. Forget last week. They've been doing it before that. 7 against Los Angeles, 17. That shootout against New Orleans, they still survived with 1. And then before that, 7, 7, 9, and 7. Yes, I know you want the TD for GPPs, but hey, you can't always get that. And if you could pay 35 and have the rest of your lineup just boom, then hey, the 7 to 17 points that they could get you is not going to kill your lineup. So once again, just trust in the fantasy law and don't worry about the actual game flow. Seattle has a good fantasy defense. And we'll wrap that up with that. And leave a like, subscribe, comment. Other than that, good luck in week 8. I will probably have a video out either Thursday or Friday to come up with some more news. Hopefully I might could find out some trade rumors. And hey, good luck in week 8. And for those who are playing it, good luck in the single game coming up Thursday. This is Great Fantasy, signing off.